Hey, welcome to another edition of the Flooring 101 podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day or morning or evening, whatever time you have chosen to listen to our latest podcast. It's the Flooring 101 podcast. I'm Jason Jabbar, and I spent the last 25 years in the retail flooring business. The last 10 as CEO of Jabbar's Carpet Outlet, located in Wichita, Kansas. We're a single store operation, but are one of the largest independent retailers in the United States. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're in the retail flooring business and you're experiencing some issues or pitfalls with your business and need some clarity, or you're thinking about getting into the retail flooring business, maybe you're thinking about purchasing an existing business or just starting one up from scratch on your own, then this is the podcast for you. And as always, it is absolutely free. So today, we will be continuing our journey through Flooring 101 and really the retail flooring blueprint, so to speak. On the last episode of our podcast, we talked about vendor and product line strategy, how to choose the vendors that you're going to work with, how to choose the manufacturers that you want to work with, and making some decisions on those product lines, good, better, best. Companies that are going to give you at least net 30 terms, making sure that you don't have too much in the showroom and things like that, and really just getting some key strategies down for a new owner looking at the products and manufacturers that they want to work with. So today we'll be specifically discussing some common rookie mistakes to avoid. You know, if you're starting up your own business from scratch, or you're purchasing an existing business, but you know you've got to make some changes. If this is your first time ever running a retail flooring business, or maybe you've been a manufacturing rep and you're coming into the retail side, or you've been on the commercial side and you're coming over to the retail side, which is what we are generally talking about, is the retail flooring blueprint. We're going to discuss some common rookie mistakes that if you can avoid these, you're going to have a much more successful venture into retail flooring. So remember, if you stick with us, we're going to teach you how to start, run, and scale a profitable flooring business through proven systems for sales, operations, and marketing. If this is your first listen to our podcast, please make sure and go back and listen to previous episodes. So let's get into it. Some common rookie mistakes to avoid. We're going to be talking about 5 main points today. First one is overbuilding the showroom. Secondly, we're going to talk about over-hiring too early when you don't need to. The third is a real big common rookie mistake, and that's underpricing to just win jobs. Fourth, we're going to talk about not having a defined sales process. And then lastly, a little bit about, if you're ignoring your cash flow, you're probably going to be in trouble. So we want to make sure that we talk about that a little bit. After this episode, you should have a little bit more insight into some common mistakes that retail flooring owners face, and some common mistakes that are made when opening a retail flooring business. So we want to make sure you avoid them. And at the end of the podcast, please let us know what you liked and what questions you might have. Remember, you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast locations, as well as Substack, Reddit, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram under the Flooring 101 banner. It'll probably have a picture of my ugly mug up there somewhere. So if you want some one-on-one clarity and really dive into bettering your business, if you have some specific examples or specific things that you would like to discuss with me personally, I'd love to book a free call with you. You can certainly do that at jasonjabara.com, JASONJABARA.com. You could book a free call, and like I said, there's nothing more than I love is talking shop with other retailers from around the country. I've always said that there's 100 different ways to run a successful business. Businesses that fail, though, all seem to have a lot of the same things in common, and we're going to try and talk a little bit today about how you can avoid some of those common rookie mistakes. So let's get into it. One of the most common mistakes that new flooring store owners make is overbuilding their showroom. Just too much stuff. I've been in showrooms that you can't even walk through. It's easy to get caught up in creating a beautiful space. You want it to be perfect. It's your baby. You have this grand vision for your retail flooring space, but overspending on aesthetics that don't directly drive sales is a real fast way to strain your startup budget. Whatever that cash flow amount of money that you've put aside, if it's part of a loan or a partnership, wherever your startup money is coming from, there's just a lot of stuff that you probably don't need that you think you need. Some of the most successful retailers in the country, when you walk into their store, it's not that they're not dirty, but they're not cluttered, and everything there has a purpose. So, high-end finishes, excessive or too many displays, and unnecessary build-out upgrades, those often deliver very little return on investment. Customers don't choose a flooring store because it looks expensive. They choose it because it feels clear and trustworthy and easy to buy from. Remember, they're buying from you and the name on the door, not necessarily the extravagance you may be spending to build this one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art showroom. Simply having a clean, well-organized showroom that guides decisions is going to outperform an overly designed space that confuses them. So in the early stages, every dollar that you're spending should be evaluated based on its ability to generate revenue or improve the customer experience. So keep this in mind when you're building out your showroom. Don't overbuild it, and make sure that you are intentional in your design, that it has a reason or a purpose to be there. If you are choosing displays, make sure that they are displays that meet that good, better, best scenario that we talked about in the last podcast. Remember, you don't need every single tile manufacturer in your showroom. You need the ones that are supporting your vision for your business. So make sure that you're intentional. Don't overbuild it. Too much is probably too much. Another critical mistake that new flooring retailers often make is probably over hiring too early. Payroll is one of the fastest ways to create financial pressure in a business, especially before consistent lead flow and revenue are established. Many owners, they hire salespeople and support staff and all of these different jobs in anticipation of growth that hasn't materialized yet. If you're starting a business from scratch, you need 2 or 3 of you. You may just need 2 of you, front of house and back of house, and then hire as you need it. If you're taking over an existing business because they needed to sell or wanted to sell, look back at the mistakes that they have might have made. Do they have too many people there? Does everybody have a job? Is their job needed? Because if you're hiring all these, I'm going to need 4 salespeople and da 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 da. If you're hiring simply on the anticipation of growth and it hasn't materialized yet, then those jobs don't exist yet. So don't hire them yet. In reality, the owner should really lead sales in the beginning. That may not be what you end up doing, but from the bat, that's probably what you're going to be doing. This ensures tighter control over the sales process. It will protect your margins, and it keeps your expenses aligned with actual demand. Additional hires should only be made when they solve a proven bottleneck. You have too many leads, you have too many customers, you have too many measurements to do. When that starts to become an issue, then you hire to solve that problem, not when you simply feel like it's the next gradual step, like, hey, we've been dating for 2 years, we should probably get married. No, if you're not ready to get married, don't get married. Same way with this. If you don't need another salesperson, don't hire another salesperson until you're ready. So, having discipline in hiring, especially during the early phases of your business, can be the difference between being stable and then being in a constant financial stress. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. Don't overhire too early. Underpricing to win jobs is another trap that feels productive in the short term, but it's going to create some long-term damage. Lowering your prices may help close the deal quickly, and you feel like, hey, I just cut them a little bit of a deal and they're going to tell their friends and I won't have to do it again. It's a slippery slope. You cut a deal to win one job and they send somebody in, you're going to be cutting a deal to win that job too. So, lower your prices may help close it quickly, but it's going to erode your margin. It's going to weaken your brand. You're going to be known as the guy or the lady who caves or always offers a deal, and it's going to attract price-sensitive customers, and price-sensitive customers aren't generally loyal customers. So they're often the most demanding clients, and you'll have the lowest profitability with those customers. So a business built on discounting really becomes dependent upon volume to survive, which is very difficult to sustain without some really strong systems in place, which you probably will not have if you are just starting a business. If you are taking over an existing business, you'll really dive into their margins when you're looking at the books to see where they're at, and make sure that we talked about this a couple episodes ago about markup and margins and staying strong with your margins and staying consistent, and underpricing to win jobs is another one of those things which will not lead to consistency. So it's difficult, but instead a successful flooring retailer will focus on delivering value. You're educating the customer, you're guiding them through the process, you are the professional that has experience, and the price that you charge for those services will stay in line with the values that you're delivering to the customer. So, winning the right job is far more important than winning every job. And just underpricing to win jobs, you're not going to make any money. You certainly won't be able to keep salespeople with you if they're working on commission, and it really just eats into your margins. Finally, operating without a defined sales process and ignoring cash flow are just two silent killers of a new flooring business. Without a structured sales system, your results are going to become inconsistent, follow-ups are going to be missed, and opportunities are going to slip through the cracks on every customer interaction should follow a clear path from greeting to close. And at the same time, cash flow must be actively managed from day one. So deposits that are too small or poorly timed vendor payments can quickly create a cash crunch. So, even when sales are strong, a disciplined deposit structure every week, every day, aligned payment schedules, paying them, if you've got those vendor terms, those net 30 terms that we talked about in the last podcast, if you've got that all lined up with your manufacturers and your distributors, those aligned payment schedules, that constant visibility into your cash position is going to be essential. You have to stay on top of what your business is doing. So hopefully you've invested in a good ERP and in a good CRM system. Hopefully you have a sales system designed for either just yourself, or if you have an existing business and it's coming with salespeople, that sales system is in place and is allowing you to keep that cash flow moving while still being actively managed, from day one and throughout the process. So, if you avoid all these mistakes, these early mistakes that we talked about, you're not just protecting your business. It's really going to create the foundation for long-term scalable success. My old wrestling coach used to just say, he said, do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. And so if you just bite the bullet up front and avoid some of these common rookie mistakes and just put it all out there from the beginning and do it the right way from the start, there's a lot less things that you have to fix down the road, and a lot less issues that you'll be able to avoid that'll become apparent down the road if you just stick to your guns from the very beginning. Keep your vision in mind. Keep your blueprint clear and clean and consistent, and you're going to be very successful in retail flooring. So, little overview. What did we talk about today? We talked about overbuilding the showroom, making sure that you avoid doing that. Don't overspend on aesthetics that don't build anything towards your business. Don't look at low ROI design choices. Make sure everything that you have in your showroom has a purpose and is moved to drive sales and build your business. Don't overhire too early. That just puts payroll pressure on your business. You're the owner. You're probably going to be one doing most of the selling first, and only hire new employees when that bottleneck is created. And until you have to solve that problem, that's when you want to start hiring. When you're just starting out, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 of you. A lot of that's going to depend on where you are in the United States and the demographics in your area. But, if you can avoid hiring too early, you're probably going to be more successful. Don't underprice jobs just to win those jobs. It's just going to create long-term damage for your business down the road. It's going to attract the wrong customers. You don't want people that are just coming to you because you're the low price guy. I tell my sales staff all the time, if we win every job, our prices are too low. You shouldn't win every job. You're going to lose jobs. You want to make sure the jobs that you're selling are not just based on what you're charging for those jobs, but the value that you're bringing to it. Maybe you're offering, free design, free estimates. Your salespeople are the number one knowledge base in their business. So, stick to your guns. Don't underprice stuff just to win jobs. Make sure you have that defined sales process. Not having a defined sales process for your sales staff will lead to inconsistent results. You'll lose customers in the follow-up. So, make sure that system is defined. If you have questions about how to build SOPs or standard operating procedures for your sales staff, you can always give me a shout individually, and I can help you with that. And then make sure that you don't ignore cash flow. Make sure your deposits are consistent, same day, or if they're daily. Make sure your vendor timing is correct. Poor vendor timing is just going to eat up into your margins and eat up your cash flow. So those are 5 common rookie mistakes that hopefully, since we've talked about them today, you can avoid them in the future. So, after this episode, you should have a little bit more insight into some of those mistakes and that are made when opening a retail flooring store and how you can avoid them. So please let us know what you liked and what questions you might have. Remember, you can follow us on all of your favorite podcast locations, as well as Substack, Reddit, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram under the Flooring 101 banner with my beautiful smiling face on there. And if you want some one-on-one time and really want us to dive into bettering your business, you can go to jasonjabbar.com and you can book a call with me. It is absolutely free, and I would love to hear from you. So next time on the next episode of our podcast, we will be discussing how to map your store's vision and income model when you're creating your business. So until we meet again, I'm Jason Jabbar, and I hope you build a better business.